is good wrapped up around you. What would you say if the brightest day showed up and said joy is here to stay? Who would you call if you had it all? A big prosperity free for all. Who would you be if you were set free in unconditional love? Unconditional love. It fulfills your heart's desire to be in the flow of life. Love that sets your soul on fire. It's a dance with the divine. What would you do if it all came true? If your highest good wrapped up around you? What would you say if the brightest day showed up and said joy is here to stay? Who would you call if you had it all? A big prosperity free for all. Who would you be if you were set free in unconditional love? Unconditional love. There is grace in everything. Every season of our years. When we learn the song to sing about the kind of love that never disappears. What would you do if it all came true? If your highest good wrapped up around you? What would you say if the brightest day showed up and said joy is here to stay? Who would you call if you had it all? A big prosperity free for all. Who would you be if you were set free in unconditional love? In unconditional love. In unconditional love. Yeah. Unconditional love. Yes, unconditional love. Unconditional love.
Good morning, and this is Beverly Pryor. I'm the minister here at Unity of the Hill Country in Kerrville, Texas. And I just want to take a moment to welcome you with unconditional love, as the song said. We're happy to have you with us if you're joining by Zoom, or if you're joining us on our Facebook page, or if you're watching later. We just want you to know that we're including you in this now moment. So let's take a moment and get centered in prayer. If you will, just close your eyes if that's comfortable to you, and just take a deep breath in and release that breath. With that deep breath, we're giving ourselves a moment to be present, to drop into the now. We're allowing ourselves to connect with one another. We open our hearts and our minds together in gratitude. We sanctify this time together. We know that it is for the highest and best for everyone concerned. We take a moment to get centered, to remind ourselves of the truth of unconditional love. For this truth and so much more, we simply say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. The opening statement for Unity of the Hill Country in Kerrville, Texas is on the screen. And wherever you are, if you would like to make this statement along with me, there is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe. God the good, the omnipotent. This is the first of our 5 basic unity principles, which are the foundation of all of our teachings. And there's a common thread through all major religions that ties the 5 principles together. And we love this truth and this fact that universal principle, universal truth is how we stand and how we face the world. So we have a few quick announcements. Obviously, today we're meeting still virtually, as I put in the email that went out yesterday. I did get a communication from someone who said there was a little confusion going around on the grapevine, wherever that grows. And the grapevine was saying that we were opening today. It is a month away. We're opening on Sunday, June 6th. You should be receiving a mailer that will give you some idea of the opportunities to serve, and also the guidelines for opening and everything that, hopefully everything you need to know. If it's not everything you need to know, please feel free to reach out to Mandy at the office, our lovely Mandy Scott, the administrative assistant. She's there Monday through Thursday from 10 to 4. So you can give her a call or you can give her an email, and she'll be happy to, if she doesn't have the answer to your question, she'll be happy to take it down and get the answer and then give you feedback on whatever that is. So we would really like your comments and your feedback, and we especially want to know how you would like to serve as we come back together. There's going to be in the mailer a list of various ways that you could serve starting right away. So we look forward to that, being able to come back together starting in June, look each other in the face. Also, if you've been a part of a small group, including the choir or any of the 12-step groups or anyone else who is meeting in the building during the week or on Sunday, please let us know if your group is interested in starting up again. There's no reason why that can't, you don't have to wait till June 6th. Someone was asking me that if that week before, if their group could start meeting, and of course they can. So let's just hold that whole experience in the highest vision for coming back together joyfully and in peace. So May 16th, just a couple of weeks away, we will have a guest speaker and music together, as we've had many times. It's Faith Rivera, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with all the various folks in the positive music community, but Faith is such a light, and she'll be giving us a message, and she'll be singing, and she's in Hawaii, so she'll be getting up pretty early to be with us that Sunday, but we're excited to be able to have her. And so make sure you mark your calendar. If you like to come every other week, make sure you come the week that Faith is going to share with us, because I know it'll be lively and heartfelt and inspirational. And so our music today is by Lisa Beck Crawford. And many of you will remember that Lisa is local here to the area. She and her husband Art live in Bandera. Lisa is such, just like Faith, she's such a beautiful soul. And, you know, she grew up with music in her home, singing gospel with her mom and her aunts. And she and Art have been nominated for multiple duo awards, vocal duo awards. And she's always such a pleasure to have with us and a blessing. So we're happy to have with us today Lisa Beck Crawford. So this is the time in our service where we take a moment to get centered in on prayer. And someone has been praying at Unity Village in Missouri for over 135 years. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore had some amazing, which appeared to be miraculous healing experiences, and they wanted to share this information with others. So they started a little newsletter, and they started having meetings in their home. And before you knew it, it grew into what is now a worldwide organization. We're still small compared to a lot of groups, but as a movement to continue for this length of time and to hold that prayer is just powerful and palpable. We know the power of prayer in unity. And we know, as our way shower and master teacher Jesus taught us, it is ours to claim. We claim our good in prayer. So if you have something on your mind or heart today for yourself or for another, just take a moment and send that forth into our precious prayer box you see here on the screen. There are a variety of ways that you can reach out to receive prayer support. You can go to our website at unityhillcountry.org. You can go directly to unity.org/prayer. You can call Silent Unity, which I encourage friends and family members to do all the time. It's just a beautiful experience. The numbers are here and the hours of operation are here on the screen. To receive prayer from that Christ consciousness that's going on in that place all the time, it's just really transformational. And after you've submitted your prayer, if you submit it here locally, we have a prayer team that prays over it. And then we send it on to Silent Unity, where they're holding that 24-hour a day, 7 days a week prayer vigil. And your prayer goes into that energy, into that consciousness of truth. And it remains there for 30 days. So in light of all this power of prayer, let's take a moment now and close our eyes once again. And let's get centered with a deep breath and release. Breath brings us back to that moment of Christ consciousness that we began our hour with. Gives us a moment to drop into this now moment, to connect with one another, to bring our knowing to our awareness. We know that there's no degree of prayer, there's none too great and none too small for that absolute good that we know as God. Jesus taught us it is ours to claim. We pray affirmatively, knowing that whether your challenges are physical or emotional, financial, relationship, whatever it is, prayer transforms. It first transforms our consciousness, and then the outworking consciousness from which we pray affects the outcome. It's a fact. So in this moment, whatever it is, we claim it. We know it because we have confidence and we have faith in this power of prayer taught to us by our master teacher and way shower, Jesus. For this truth and so much more, we simply say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. The mission and vision statement of Unity of the Hill Country in Kerrville, Texas is to live consciously, celebrating the divine potential in all. The divine potential. The divine is always there. Every moment, every circumstance, every individual is the essence of divinity. And the potential is only in our awareness. We have the potential to become aware of this truth in any moment, no matter how frustrated or angry or confused we are. We have that opportunity, that potential to shift our focus, to shift our attention to the divine, to see it rightly, as the Bible says, to know the truth with capital T. So our daily word reader today is our lovely Miss aforementioned Miss Mandy Scott. Mandy, are you there and are you ready to read the daily word?
Yes. Good morning. The daily word today is grace. The grace of God is alive in me. I don't need to do anything to earn or deserve the grace of God because it is always present, mine to claim in any situation. Grace dawns in my awareness as soon as I move beyond the limits of my human understanding. I let go and let the peace, love, wisdom, and strength of God fill me, lift me, and guide me. In both the challenging and the ordinary moments of life, the grace I give and the grace I receive keep the awareness of God in my heart. During a tough conversation, a thought comes to mind that helps reestablish harmony. As I mull an important decision, a fresh insight clarifies my thinking, feeling overwhelmed by my to-do list. I feel renewed energy and move forward with strength and enthusiasm. In these moments and more, I discover grace anew. And from John 1:16, from his fullness we have all received grace upon grace.
Thank you, Mandy. What a great message. And it ties back into our mission and vision statement. We have grace in any moment that we look for it and we claim it, and it shifts our awareness. So now it's time for some of our special music with Lisa Beck Crawford. Lisa?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Good morning, beautiful people. I'm grateful to be back again with you all. All right. I am just a pilgrim on this road, boys. I am just a pilgrim on this road, boys. I am just a pilgrim on this road, boys. This ain't never been my home. Sometimes the road was rocky along the way, boys. Sometimes the road was rocky along the way, boys. Sometimes the road was rocky along the way, boys. I was never traveling alone. And we'll meet again on some bright highway. Songs to sing and tales to tell. But I am just a pilgrim on this road, boys. Till I see you again, boys, fare thee well. Ain't no need to cry for me, boys. Ain't no need to cry for me, boys. Ain't no need to cry for me, boys. Somewhere down the road you will understand. 'Cause I expect to touch his hand, boys. Yes, I expect to touch his hand, boys. Oh, I expect to touch his hand, boys. And I'll put a word in for you if I can. And we'll meet again on some bright highway. Songs to sing and tales to tell. But I am just a pilgrim on this road, boys, till I see you again, boys. Fare thee well. Till I see you again, boys. Fare thee well.
Thank you, Lisa. I love how tenderly you sang that song. You can really feel it.
Yes.
So now it's our time for getting centered in meditation. We're going to do something just a little bit differently today. We're going to begin with a song by Sue Riley, Only Love Remains. And we'll spend a little bit of time in that song, and then we'll continue through a little bit of guided meditation, and we'll spend some time in silence. It sounds like it's going to take a long time, but it's really not. So if you will, just close your eyes and take a deep breath in. And slowly release that breath. Just allowing that breath to connect to mind, body, and spirit. Another deep breath in. And as you release, just let go of the busyness of the morning and just let your shoulders fall from underneath your ears, just relaxing out. Let your heart center open up as those shoulders just fall where they would naturally be. With an open heart and open mind, we spend a moment listening to this song, and I want you to listen to the words from your heart and allow yourself to be taken by the song. Allow it to move through you.
Slowly as the circle grows, spirit voice we come to know. Our divisions fall away, only love remains to know. Slowly as the circle grows,
as we let go of things that we see with our eyes, hear with our ears, all of the ways in which we take in what we think is information through our senses, all of the ways in which we take that information in and we think we know what we're seeing, what we're hearing, what we're feeling. As we become centered, as we allow that circle to grow, as we know that we're connected one with another, we begin to let go of those things that we perceive with our senses. Let go of judgment. Assessing, determining. We open our hearts and our minds to the awareness that only love remains. We let go of the human experience. We can connect with the truth of our spiritual nature, the Christ consciousness, alive and well in every one of us. Allow yourself to have a moment now in the silence, unguided, undetermined, allowing the circle to grow and only love to remain. In this circle of love, we free ourselves of the shackles of our human experience. We rest in love. Together, let's take a deep breath in and release. With that breath, we return to this moment and this time, fully present, fully aware of the love. We are in this world. For this truth, we simply say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So today our topic is freedom to love. If only love remains, when we free ourselves of the judgment and the criticism and the separation consciousness, only love remains. So we began a couple of weeks ago talking about Don Miguel Ruiz's book, The Mastery of Love, Practical Guide to the Art of Relationship. And this is not just romantic relationship. He's speaking from a Toltec wisdom, which is the mystical traditions of Mexico, which is his lineage. And just like Jesus told stories to help teach, Don Miguel Ruiz and the Toltec tradition uses storytelling to help us to get the point of the story. And so the chapters I'm covering this week is the man who didn't believe in love and the topic of love and fear. And so he starts with this story about this man who didn't believe in love. He felt like he had it all figured out. There is no love. I don't see it anywhere. I don't feel it anywhere. It just doesn't exist. People call a lot of things love, but it's not really love, truly. And he was going around lecturing people and trying to teach people how they were so confused about what love was. And he was very stalwart in his opinion that there is no love. He just didn't believe it existed. So one day he was walking in a park, and he walked up to this woman who was sitting on a bench. And the lady who was sitting on the bench, had tears streaming down her face, and she was so sad. And he stopped. He felt compassion for her, and he stopped and he said, "Are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you?" Because he was a compassionate man, even though he didn't believe that love existed. That was separate to him. So we sat down, and she began to tell him about why she was so sad. And she said, there's just no such thing as love. And I've become aware of this. I've learned it the hard way. And love just doesn't exist. Of course, he was so surprised. He was like, wait, what? She's not been to my lectures. She's not one of my students. And she went on to share with him the story of her marriage and raising her children, and her children off in on their own way. And then her husband left, and she was feeling very sad. She'd spent all this time focusing on her children and focusing on her husband. And now she felt she had nothing. And he gave her empathy, and he totally understood. I get it. I understand why you feel that way. I agree. Love doesn't exist. There is no such thing. We've been sold a bill of goods. It's not true. And the world would be better off if people would stop looking for love, expecting love. And so they began to realize that they had a lot in common. So they started spending time together. They would go on walks together. They would have dinner, and over time, one thing led to another. And as they were spending time together as friends, they really began to rely on one another, and they had so many things in common. And then one evening when he was away, he noticed that he was missing her. He was thinking, wow, I would really, the story goes way back. So it's before cell phones and texting and Facebooking and FaceTime and all the different ways, Zoom as we're using today. And so he just was feeling strong feelings about her. And he thought, wow, could I love her? And he was really confused, and he thought, well, I respect her. We have good communication. There's no expectation on this relationship. We're able to just spend time together and appreciate one another. Whenever we want to spend time together, there's no obligation, there's no burden. And so when he returned, they were together, and so he decided to get up courage and tell her his discovery. And she smiled and she said, yes, I've felt that way for a while. And so they were both just elated to discover that they cared for one another. And so they decided mutually that they would move into a romantic relationship. They had this amazing foundation of friendship that had begun with no obligation and no expectation, and simply honoring one another. And so they decided that, yeah, this would be a good thing to do, to have this romantic relationship. And that went wonderfully. And the more time they spent together, the happier they were. And the romance was blossoming. And one evening, he was out amongst the stars, and he was gazing at the stars, and he was thinking of her, and he was feeling so wonderfully. And a star grew brighter and burst, and then a part of it came right down from the sky into his heart and then into his hands. And he was so thrilled and so overwhelmed with these feelings of love and this expanded feeling that he went inside and he wanted to share it with her. And so he brought to her the experience that he had had. And he said, I want you to feel this. I want to give you this experience that I've had. I want you to have this same experience. And so he placed this starlight in her hand. He placed this amazing experience, this heart-opening moment in her hands. And just for a second, she had just a glimmer of doubt. And she dropped it, and it shattered everywhere. And in that moment, their relationship was done. And I know it's kind of a sad story, and you're thinking, oh, how did you take me all the way to they found this great love, and now it's shattered. But what went wrong? If you think about it, where was the misstep? They began slowly, which is great. They were friends, which is wonderful. They consciously chose to become romantic and be in that committed relationship. But when he had this experience, which was unique to him, which was his awakening, he took it and he put it in her hands. She wasn't ready to have the responsibility of his awareness and his awakening. She was working on her own self. She was being present with her own good feelings. And then this burden was placed in her hands, and she had doubt. And so she dropped that, and it shattered. But it was his expectation that he'd gone back to his old way of thinking before they had actually come together. This romanticized idea that someone's going to come along and fix your world and make everything better, and you're responsible for someone else, and someone else is responsible for you. It's not just a romantic relationship challenge. It's a relationship challenge we have with friends and children and parents. We often forget that we're individuals and we're responsible for ourselves. He says every relationship becomes a living being made by two dreamers. Every relationship becomes a living being, meaning the relationship itself has its own life. And the two dreamers may have separate dreams, but they can come together in the idea of the relationship. So what happens, what she had in that moment of doubt's an expression of fear. And so in this chapter, he doesn't give this list. I made this list, but what he's describing is love versus fear. And when we have confidence in the love that is expressing as each one of us, if we have confidence in our own truth that we are love, then we're happy to make a commitment. But if we're coming from fear, then suddenly it's an obligation. Like when he placed the light in her hands, she was obligated then to take it. And she had a moment of doubt. Love lets us be flexible and resilient. But fear and doubt causes us to be resistant. Love gives us understanding, where fear places expectations on another person or the moment or the job or the child. Love is respectful and fear becomes rude. Love is compassionate and doesn't pity. Pity is seeing something or someone or a moment or a situation as less than. Love is responsible. We know who we are. We own our words and our truth and our presence in this world. But fear is thoughtless. Love is kind, but fear is disagreeable. Love is generous, while fear is selfish. Love is unconditional, where fear causes withholding. Love is permissive and accepting, while fear is controlling and judging. Love is honest and trusting, while fear is deceptive and suspicious. Love allows us to be vulnerable, to open ourselves up just as we are, no pretenses. But fear causes us to be guarded. And when we're guarded, no one can know us. We can't know ourselves. We're too busy being in a protective mode, withholding, and all these other things. There's so many other words that we could put on this list. But you get the point. And you can't cherry pick, you can't just say, well, I'm some of these, but, I have to withhold because that's how I get people to do what I want. Well, judging, that gives me a right to criticize. Well, those are coming from a place of fear, less than, lack, scarcity. Love is compassionate and kind and generous. When we know who we are, we can be present with love and not fear that somehow we're going to give too much away or that we have to meter out our love and acceptance. It allows us to just naturally overcome the fear. You know, we all have families, and our families are a mixed bag of tricks. You know, I'm the youngest of 7 children. I still have, there are 5 of us left, and we're all very different. And then my siblings have children, and those children have children. And there's so many opportunities to judge, to think of one person as doing well and another person as not doing so well. And sometimes as parents, we think it's our job to somehow withhold approval or meter out our approval, or in some way we think it's our job to guide, we call it guiding, our children or our grandchildren. Maybe that is what we did with children, but with grandchildren, you have a clean slate. You are not the one who has to guide them. Sometimes you end up with responsibility for grandchildren, but you could just love them. And really, if we'd had the wisdom when we were young enough and having those children, how magical would it be to have been a recipient of that love, that long list of wonderful ways to express love, as opposed to many of us still have some trauma and some things that we're getting past because our parents operated from fear. And no judgment if this was your experience when you were a parent, if you operated from fear, because there's a lot of communication about fear and danger in our world in general, and not enough communication about love. It's all about you, and how you're showing up, and what are your choices. How do you want to be in that relationship? It's not about the other person. So it's important first to love yourself. You can't love another person until you've loved yourself. And this is not one time I decided I did some self-love work and now I love myself. This is daily. Daily, we have to get up and look in the mirror and make a commitment to ourselves, to know who we are, to express our own divinity, and then be flexible and understanding with ourselves. Be respectful when we make mistakes. Have some compassion for ourselves. You have to be responsible for your choices. Of course, that's part of love. I love myself because I am responsible. If I've made a misstep, if I've withheld, if I've judged, I can be responsible. I can do the proper amends and forgiveness work. But look yourself in the mirror and be kind and generous with what you see. Don't say, oh, when I lose that extra 10 pounds, put conditions on it. Oh, if I didn't have the baggies under my eyes. Be permissive. Give yourself room to express, to grow, to really understand who you are in this world. Be accepting and trusting. Be honest with yourself about your divinity. Don't look away. Know who you are. You are an expression of God. You are the same as Jesus. That's what he said. These things and even more so shall you do. It's our Christ consciousness that gives us that opportunity to express. But you have to be vulnerable enough to let go of your old ideas about who you are and to step into your truth and to live from that divinity. So I just want to wrap up from these chapters just by reading from you, for you, from the book. He says, finally, if you are aware that no one else can make you happy, and that happiness is the result of love coming out of you, this becomes the greatest mastery of the Toltecs, the mastery of love. We can talk about love and write 1,000 books about it, but love will be completely different for each of us because we have to experience love. Love is not about concepts. Love is about action. Love in action can only produce happiness. Fear in action can only produce suffering. The only way to master love is to practice love. Do you need to justify your love? No, you don't need to justify your love. You don't need to explain your love. You just need to practice your love. Practice creates the master. So this week, practice love. In those times of stillness, in your meditation and prayer time, let your awareness bring ideas of how you can practice love. And then give yourself some acceptance, some compassion if you haven't been practicing the love that you could. And then take action, make a commitment, make a decision about the love you want to be in this world, not the love someone else expects you to be. No obligations, no pressure. Just decide how you want to show up as love. And be love. Practice love with your children, with your neighbors, with your partner, if you have one. But begin with yourself. Begin practicing love on yourself. Thank you. So we'll have another lovely song by Lisa Beck Crawford. Lisa?
All right. That was a great message. Thank you. And I love that story with the light. That was pretty cool. So speaking of the light, shine a light on me, the door open up, set me free while I hear you calling me. Open up and shine your love and light on me. Well, my hands are dirty, but my heart's are weak, but my back is strong. My hand on the plow is steady. Oh, shine a light on me, the door open up. Set me free while I hear you calling me. So open up and shine your love and light on me. Well, my daddy told me, girl, every morning you gotta put your shoulder against the stone. No matter if you ever get it rolling. Oh, shine a light on me, the door open up, set me free while I hear you calling me. So open up and shine your love and light on me. There's a train a coming, I can see the headlights now, and all God's children gonna get on board. Ain't nobody gonna be left behind. Oh, shine a light on me, the door open up, set me free while I hear you calling me. So open up and shine your love and light on me. Oh, shine a light on me, the door open up, set me free while I hear you calling me. So open up and shine your love and light on me. Open up and shine your love and light on me. Open up and shine your love and light on me.
Thank you, Lisa. That was awesome. I love that song.
Thank you for having me today.
Oh, thank you for being here. We always enjoy your beautiful soul and your great energy.
I'm so glad. I enjoy you guys too very much.
And your talent, of course. The time in our service where we just express our gratitude for those of you who have continued to support us during this year of being apart. You've been mailing in your tithes and offerings and going online. It's the website you see here. And we really just want you to know how much it means to us to have your support and to look forward to seeing you again soon. It's just, my heart's just bursting with excitement. So let's take a moment if you want to say this along with us at home, knowing that whatever it is, if it's your prayers, your consciousness, and of course your financial tithes and offerings, we want to bless it all with this offertory prayer. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I send it forth with my blessings and my love. We close with our prayer of protection by James Dillett Freeman. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. So we'll see you next week with more of our virtual. For now, we're still working out exactly how we're going to do the virtual when we're also meeting in person, but we will figure it out. So just keep praying for us there that we have the guidance and the understanding, but invite your friends to join us online. And, of course, right now, what we want to do is open up the line, see your beautiful faces, and say good morning to everyone. Hello, you can unmute yourself. I see the Baileys, Carolyn and Jay. Good morning. I see Hetty. Good morning, Hetty. And Judy. Hi, Danny. Hi, Patsy. Good morning. Mark and Gayleen are there. Gar and Jenny are online along with Kara and Jerry. Hi, Jerry. You unmuted yourself. You want to say hello? I know Jack was on for a moment. I don't know where he went, but anyway, thank you, Mandy, for reading today. And thank you, Lisa, so much for your joyful songs.
Thank you so much for having me.
Does anybody have anything they'd like to share today? Any good news or?
Yes,
Enjoy the sunshine.
That's good news for sure. The sunshine. What a difference a day makes, right?
And thank God for the rain.
Yes. That was, Danny,
yes,
did you have
my
something?
surgeries went well. They're complete. I had read my Bible for the first time in 65 years without glasses.
Hallelujah.
And just the rainbows and it's just all the stuff that's going on right now. It's just been fabulous. Everything's greener and prettier, brighter.
Yeah, it's just a big celebration of your new eyes.
Yes.
That's wonderful. We're so happy for you that went so well.
The message was great.
Appreciate that.
Yes.
All right, folks. Well, namaste. I love you.
Namaste. We love you all.
You have a beautiful day.
Sweet. Have a great day.